more dancing, more shaking coming. But I'm going to share a little bit about my story. So my name is Vandana Hart. I'm the creator and host of We Speak Dance on Netflix. And dance has really just been the epicenter of my life since I was born. The first drum beat that I heard, I got kicked out of a ballet class, and I started twerking. They're like, no, this isn't the correct style. But there's something about dance and music that is magnetic, and it pulls people in no matter where they are in the world. It is in our DNA. It is our ancient language that really crosses every single border, every culture, every divide. Dance, music, food. This is our oldest traditions. But I feel with all these incredible devices, Facebook, Instagram, we love them, but sometimes we forget to get into our bodies, to move, to connect, to be with each other. And this is why all of you are here, is to really remind yourselves, your communities, and the world about how important human interaction is, how important the physical exchanges of seeing somebody else, hugging them, shaking with them, sweating with them, laughing, crying. This is what we're alive for. This is what it means to be human. So I was born in Russia during the heat of the Cold War, and to an American father and a Russian mother. And my parents actually couldn't be together. My dad was sneaking into Russia, campaigning to free political prisoners and religious prisoners, and my mother was helping him out, giving him the list of people in jail. So for the first year of my life, my family was separated. My father was campaigning for our release from Sweden, and it wasn't until my first birthday that I actually got to meet my father. And we left Russia as refugees. And we were on the first nuclear disarmament agreement between Gorbachev and Reagan. We were really negotiating chips to be together. So this world that we're in now, there's so much divide, there's conflict, there's still war, there's still economic, racial divide, gender inequality. There's so many walls that we're working to overcoming with our different community groups. And I've found that working at the UN for many years, that talking about what the issues are and what the problem is, when you share a problem with a community, you're starting from this problem, a place of victimhood. But when you share from a place of art, of dance, of music, you're connecting with people's culture, what's most important to them, and you're starting from a place of empowerment, of strength, of being full, of being complete and being fully human. So this was a flaw that I was seeing within the international development community, the UN, nonprofits alike, that when we start our work, we're starting a step back versus actually starting with all of our strengths and human resources that we have already. And in creating We Speak Dance, one of the biggest lessons has been is to never underestimate the human capital that we all have. And by bringing people together, how powerful that is, that really any idea that you have can come to life when you care enough about it and you bring the right people around the table. You don't need the resources. The idea is waiting for you. It just takes the action and the right people to make it happen. So from Russia, Sweden, we lived in India, hippie parents. Dad was Hindu, converted when he was 18, then moved to the US, and I danced at an all-black high school, which was part of a desegregation program that was set up in the 80s. And then I trained in Alvin Ailey in New York. And when I came to New York, I just got obsessed with the dance scene. Like ballet, African, tap, jazz, hip-hop. I was battling some of the most legendary hip-hop dancers in the world, like Crazy Legs, Buddha Stretch, and all of these people that are really shaping culture. But the opportunities for dancers were non-existent. Broadway shows, dance companies, all of these things, you could barely pay rent, let alone do much more. So, and at a deeper level, I started to feel that maybe dance couldn't change the world. That to really unite people, inspire people, I would need to work somewhere like the UN. So I switched my studies from dance to politics and started interning at the United Nations, and from there stayed on and worked for the UN for 7 years. And I worked in 30 countries setting up the Women's Safe Cities Global Initiative, which works to end violence against women in public space, from sexual harassment to very harsh forms of violence, rape. And this was set up in Papua New Guinea in the marketplaces, in India, in public transport, Rwanda, Ecuador, Egypt, even during the revolution. And what I found was that some countries were just excelling so rapidly on these programs and reaching millions of people. And I was like, what is the difference between a country that is inspiring and reaching all their stakeholders in such a huge community? What's the difference between those and the other ones? Because we're giving them the same tools, we're giving them the same resources and trainings. And what I found was that it was about the community leadership. And it was about people being so dedicated and energized and seeing that, hey, what can we do before the money arrives? What marches, what dances, what songs, what programs can we set up with the people who already care about this issue? Those were the places where these programs thrived. And then when the money came, these places were the best equipped to scale and move to every other community. So this is a huge learning within my work at the UN. Then I moved to Kenya, to Nairobi. Kenya is one of the best countries in the world. Is someone from Nairobi? Wait, Nairobi? Oh, yes. Sauti Sol is like my favorite band. Those are my friends. So when I lived in Kenya, I lived there for 1 month. And I was asked to be in a music video, and I was like, no, I won't be in it, but I'll help you choreograph it. So when they were filming it, they're like, no, Vandana, you need to be in the video. So I said, fine, no one's gonna see it, no one at the UN will know. And then the music video was released, and everyone saw it. People were messaging me from South Africa, from New York, like, what are you doing in this music video? Like, what's going on? Are you still working at the UN? So I had this immense shame and embarrassment, actually, about being a dancer, about being a sexual being, about having a woman's body and shaking it in a music video. And that was a very confronting moment of, wow, I'm this advocate for women's rights, but then I have shame around my body and dancing in front of people. So I started training dancers in Kenya, and the group who won the So You Think You Can Dance, I started mentoring them. And that's where I saw the power of combining dance and politics. These two ingredients that are so separate in the traditional world, when you actually bring dance in to work on issues of women's rights, of economic justice, of racial inequality, trust me, people are paying attention and listening a lot longer, and actually relating to what you're saying. And within seconds of dancing with a community in Congo or in Brazil or in France or in Japan, I would build a trust that would take normally years to build with traditional programs. And this was a really pivotal moment for me. And Anthony Bourdain was blowing up with Parts Unknown on CNN, his food travel show. Pharrell's happy music videos were going viral everywhere. And I was like, whoa, there's something here. Why don't we put dance and politics together? So this was the birth of We Speak Dance, which is now on Netflix. And it's really about how do we use this ancient tool to unlock all of our potential, our dreams, our hopes. How do we celebrate community? How do we use dance and music to liberate, to create freedom, to use dance as protest, to unite? And if you hear Femi Kuti say in Nigeria that there's a day for dance every day in Africa. Is there a day for dance every day here? I don't think so. So we're forgetting how to move, and we're watching other people dance online and liking their videos. But what's happening to our own bodies? What's happening to our own energy? How are we showing up for our community? I think dance is one of the most vulnerable ways you can show up as a leader and say that you're here and you understand people's language, and you're willing to move with them, we're willing to move their countries. I interviewed Ndaba Mandela, Nelson Mandela's grandson, for Mandela's 100th anniversary, and I said, what was the role of dance in revolution? What was the role of dance in fighting apartheid? He said this was actually one of Mandela's secret ingredients for social change, that you come to the front line and you know you're about to lose your life. And what are we going to do? We're going to dance and scare our opponents. That if we're going, we are dancing, we're moving together, and you're going to have to take us down at our biggest form. So hearing this story really started to unlock just the power and infinite power of this as not only a community organizing tool, as a way to spark local leadership, but also as a way to move nations. So I really believe that this is one of our most sacred, ancient weapons to build change. And it's so beautiful to be here and to share that with you. So with We Speak Dance, I traveled to Nigeria, Vietnam, Lebanon, France, Indonesia, and what's so interesting is that all of these places, dance is not just the culture, it's also a way to speak to the gods. The body becomes the vessel, and the movement becomes the momentum to connect with something bigger than us. And I've never experienced dance that way in this culture. It's about competitions, who's better than the next person, versus how are we using our movement as a way to connect with each other and something bigger, an idea much bigger than ourselves. So I think the three things I'd really love for you to take away and what I'd like to share with you today is, one, you don't really need much resources to create an immense change. I self-funded and independently produced my entire series, and it convinced hundreds of people around the world to collaborate with me. They didn't choose to work with me because I'm cool or I'm interesting or even that I'm a good dancer. They chose to work with me because the idea that I was dancing for was enormous and inspiring and would spark leadership around the world to use art for change. Number two, there are so many different aspects of our identity and our superpowers and our strengths. And I was so ashamed of being a dancer and also being a UN advisor. And it was not until I combined my knowledge of global politics and my abilities to twerk really well that people started listening, and I actually started inspiring people. So this is a lesson for you. What are your secret superpowers that you're holding inside of you that you might be a little embarrassed about or shy about? Show them off. It is your duty to share all of your strengths, all your passion, all of your art, all of your creativity with the world. And three, just get started. I know all of you are expert community builders. I'm talking to a very experienced audience. But getting started also means, what can I do before the resources arrive? What coalitions can I build? When we launched We Speak Dance Lebanon, that episode, we took a dancer, Omar, who's the best hip-hop dancer in the country, as well as ancient dancer, Debke. He's half Syrian, half Lebanese. He'd never been to a refugee camp. We take him to a refugee camp on the episode. Now he goes to that camp every week and teaches dance. And he said that profound change that dance has in that community, there's no art there. There's no art after the war. There's no art in this camp. There's no music. There's no dance. And he's the first one to bring it. And I think to see that what global and local ambassadors and leaders of change can we each inspire? Because we don't need any more dictators. We don't need any more celebrities and A-listers. People are hungry for more leaders. All of us have the capacity to do this. And as our job as community builders is not just to be the spotlight and to be the superstar. Being a rock star is incredible. I love it. I love performing on stage for all of you and many more. But what is actually the greatest potential is how many people in this audience can leave today and inspire other leaders to step into their full power, to step in their full potential, and show up for the communities, and use their talents and link them to where there's human suffering. This is the real rubric of success. Yes. Thank you so much for having me. Now we're going to transition in getting back into our bodies. I think getting into our minds is so important. We need to train our minds. We need the discipline. But our bodies are also a beautiful vehicle for change. Can I have everyone please stand up? And if you're in the second row,